Emma Vigeland talking about Cenk teaming up with MTG. Okay, commentary about MTG. Oh, shit. Here we go.
Like, when is Marjorie Taylor Greene going to be a guest on this show? TYT scooping up all the populist politicians. I know. We're out to her, but...
I just love all these American First people who, 3 years ago were saying Ilhan Omar was a terrorist for supporting BDS. I love to fight wars with them.
Normalize that person. Say how much we have in common. As if, like, the anti-war... As if we have to go out to the anti-Semite, Islamophobe Marjorie Taylor Greene to find a partner in trying to oppose war in Iran. There's plenty of coalitions on the left where you can tap into that. And, yeah, I don't know. You got to weigh whether you're normalizing someone with an interview or whether you're actually doing something productive. And I think it's been well established what our feelings are about their project.
I mean, dude, she makes a really valid point. And I think this is the point that I've made, but I think she makes it very eloquently, right? Is how, like, yes, if Cenk Uygur was actually serious about, like, being anti-war, okay, there is, like, certainly so many coalitions on the left, on his own side, that would band together and create an anti-war movement, right? Absolutely. Now, he chose Marjorie Taylor Greene. Now, why did he choose her? Does he think that she has the ear of the president? Like that Marjorie Taylor Greene is going to somehow, like, convince Donald Trump not to go to war with Iran? I mean, come on. Nobody believes that. Nobody believes that Donald Trump is listening to Marjorie Taylor Greene. He probably thinks she's as big of a jackhole as the rest of us do. He just likes the fact that she'll bend over and do a backflip through a hoop for Trump. She'll kiss his ass. He could get her to do anything, right? In fact, he might even see that clip of her saying she doesn't want war, and Trump will start a war just so Marjorie Taylor Greene will go, yeah, war, and Trump can be like, you see what I did to MTG? She's on the war train now. Like, he loves J.D. Vance calling him Hitler and now sucking his knob to try and get the presidency. Trump loves that shit, right? He has the guy calling him America's Hitler is now running around telling everybody how great he is, right? He loves that shit, right? So, okay, Cenk, so you're certainly not getting any leeway there with Marjorie Taylor Greene. All right, well, what did Marjorie Taylor Greene do today? Okay, so today, after Cenk Uygur's little, she's a populist, right? MTG today was having an anti-trans hearing. Subcommittee on delivering on government efficiency, okay? Marjorie Taylor Greene had a hearing on men in women's sports, aka their anti-trans attacks. Okay. So again, we have homelessness, we have wealth gap, we have people that are starving, we have kids in poverty, we have people with no health care, we have this education, like lack of education situation, people being crushed by student loans. Okay. And what she's doing, Cenk's little anti-war buddy, is not having a hearing about let's stop the Iran war. She's having a hearing about let's fucking, like, demonize transgender people. Okay? That's what it's about. Okay? That's what she did today. Okay? So this is who Cenk wants to forge a coalition with. Okay? He can't find somebody who's not anti-trans to forge a non-war coalition with, even though, man, I know everybody on the left doesn't want any war. None of the leftists want war. Sam Cedar doesn't want war. Emma doesn't. Franny doesn't. John doesn't. Kyle Kowinski doesn't. Hassan doesn't. Right? You know, Mike Figueredo, Matt Binder, you know, Lance from the Surfs. Right? Dude, Ole? Right? I mean, we can go everywhere. Like, what are we talking about? But Cenk Uygur doesn't want to get together with any of them. When he wants to, like, anti-war, he's going to go to MTG. He's going to go to PBD. He's going to go to Charlie Kirk. When all of them would go to war with Iran tomorrow in a fucking instant, bro. If Trump said we're going, they would be like, we're going. Right? You know what I mean? I wouldn't mind having war with Heritage Foundation. I'd be down with that. But yeah, you see how this shit is, though? This is the problem with Cenk Uyghur's little bullshit. I'm glad Emma called him out. Dude, everybody should call this motherfucker out. Marjorie Taylor Greene was having a little hearing about fucking bashing trans people today on her committee. And that's why you're going to see clips of Jasmine Crockett playing the Trump or trans game. Greg Kasar was talking about how he's knocked on 1,000 doors and nobody ever talked about trans issues because Marjorie Taylor Greene, Cenk Uygur's little war ally, she's not having, committee meetings about stopping the war. She's having committee meetings about the culture war shit, about the anti-trans shit, trying to fire up the Christians in her district to keep voting for her. Okay, because she uses transgender issues to get votes, but she's not really going to ever stand up to Donald Trump. She'll vote against funding for Israel, but she does it because she can, because it's going to pass. Okay, I guarantee you, if they needed Marjorie Taylor Greene's vote to send money to Israel, and if Donald Trump pulled her aside and said, you're going to vote for the Israel funding package, or we're going to fucking primary your ass, Marjorie Taylor Greene would vote for the Israel funding package. Okay? She's only able to vote nay because she believes in that. She doesn't want to fund Israel, right? Because she's anti-Semitic, and she can make that vote because they have the votes to pass it. But if Congress changed, okay, if Congress changed and they needed her to vote, she would fucking vote for it. All right, but this is in response to Marjorie Taylor Greene today.
So, Miss Goss-Graves, I want to play a game. It's called Trump or Trans. You ready?
Okay.
So I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to tell me whether or not it is Trump or trans people that are responsible. You understand?
Got it.
Okay, very good. The first one, gutted medical research.
Trump.
Kidnapping Americans and sending them to foreign countries, a.k.a. deporting them.
Trump.
Driving us into a recession.
Trump.
Increasing the cost of everything.
Trump.
Waging an idiotic tariff war.
Trump.
Harming farmers.
Trump.
Ignoring the Constitution.
Trump.
Proposing to take away Social Security.
Trump.
Cutting health care.
Trump.
Firing government workers who keep our country safe.
Trump.
Encouraging an environment of hate and divisiveness.
Trump.
Thank you so much. This committee could be engaged in actual oversight of fraud, waste, abuse, and mismanagement. So let's talk about waste. Like Trump's plan to spend almost $100 million for his little birthday parade. Or how he spent 25% of his first 100 days golfing, costing taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. In fact, it's a little bit over 30 million at our last estimation. In fact, President Trump is on pace to spend more than $1 billion of taxpayer dollars just on golfing. Yet the Republicans have been silent. So they must think spending taxpayer dollars on the president's golfing trips is more important than providing health care to their constituents. You add that up just on this committee, we have 606,000 kids that are relying on us to do right by them. And instead, we playing these crazy games because we worried about 10 trans folk that are in sports right now in college. I wasn't elected to be engaged in these fights. I was elected to make sure that those kids, the kids that they are about to neglect with these terrible votes that they're about to take, I was elected to protect them and to make sure that they could grow up and have all the opportunities. But let's keep on track. Now, when we look at how much they are spending on, let's look at fraud. We could investigate whether the White House and the members of this subcommittee engaged in insider trading and market manipulation. Maybe it's a coincidence that the chairwoman brought hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stock the day before Trump announced a 90-day pause on tariffs.
Oh my God, can we just pause? Look at this fucking picture, bro. Look at the picture of Marjorie Taylor Greene they used, dude. Oh my God. They used like the gnarliest fucking picture of her I think I've ever seen, and I fucking love it. I love it. Of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene, the insider trading, adulterous, fake Christian, school shooting survivor, harassing bitch, okay, is like focusing on 10 transgender athletes. But like, dude, she is a fraud, okay, a sneak. She didn't even believe in her fucking religion. She's out there frittering around with how many lovers? How many fucking sexual affairs was this religious woman having? Like, come on, bro. She's a fucking clown show. But oh my God, that photo. All right, we're going to go back. We're going to let Jasmine tear her up. You ready? Let's go. Let's listen to the whole thing.
Fraud. We could investigate whether the White House and the members of this subcommittee engaged in insider trading and market manipulation. Maybe it's a coincidence that the chairwoman brought hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stock the day before Trump announced a 90-day pause on tariffs. But I guess we'll never know. So finally, let's talk about abuse. Like how the Republicans have let Elon steal data of Americans and his competitors to make himself even richer. Look, don't let these hearings distract you from their destruction. This is rage baiting instead of conducting oversight over the issues that Americans actually care about. And with that, I will yield.
The gentle lady's time is expired.
Madam Chair,
I now recognize.
Madam Chair, I move down to take down her words impugning you.
Oh,
It's saying you committed a crime.
Without objection, so ordered.
oh,
Say what? That's not.
See how. The committee
Chair.
will
Point of
suspend. The
parliamentary
committee will
inquiry.
suspend.
Point of parliamentary inquiry.
We're going to go with hers first, right?
Madam Chair.
The committee will suspend. The member will state the words she wishes taken down.
Well, actually, Madam Chair, the words were actually not made in a
The
timely
committee
manner.
will suspend.
dude, they're trying to strike the word. I didn't hear her say that she was a criminal. She asked some questions. Dude, should we look at the exact words? Let's go back and look at the exact words. We've got them. Hold on. We're going to go back and look at them real quick, all right?
But let's keep on track. Now, when we look at how much they are spending on, let's look at fraud. We could investigate whether the White House and the members of this subcommittee engaged in insider trading and market manipulation. Maybe it's a coincidence that the chairwoman brought hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stock the day before Trump announced a 90-day pause on tariffs. But I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, she said we could be looking. Maybe it's a coincidence that the chairwoman bought $100,000 of stock right before Trump made this announcement, but I guess we'll never know. She never accused her of committing a crime. She never directly impugned her for having done a crime. She never even made an accusation. All she said was this woman made these purchases the day before Trump made this announcement, and I guess we'll never know. Was that fraud? Or like we should investigate everybody on this committee. Like what did we all do with stocks? Why don't we investigate us? But she made no accusations of guilt. She merely pointed out that she made a move to purchase these stocks, and she did it right before Trump did this thing, and I guess we'll never know what that was about. Okay, there was certainly some implication. But again, though, they want to strike the record. Okay, they want to strike the record. But here's the deal, though. Why aren't we holding hearings about the homelessness issue? Why aren't we holding hearings about how to get corporations to stop buying housing? Why aren't we holding hearings about making education more affordable, improving our schools, focusing on the wealth gap, right? Figuring out a better tax system. Why aren't we having hearings about fraudulent stock purchases? Why aren't we having hearings about what Elon Musk is doing with all that fucking data, right? Why aren't we having hearings about all these real problems, school shootings, mental health, healthcare, right? There's a million things we could have hearings on, but no. What are we having hearings on? We're having hearings about 10 transgender athletes in the NCAA, 500,000 NCAA athletes. I mean, even if you want to talk NCAA, there are 10,000 women who report rapes every year. 10,000. How many get raped and don't report it? 10,000 women every year get raped in the NCAA. Why aren't we having a hearing about that? About rape culture, about protecting young women from sexual assault on campus? No, f it all. None of that. We only talk about the 10 trans athletes. Why? I'll tell you why. Because Charlie Kirk and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Donald Trump, what they're doing is they're trying to scare every middle American person into believing that the Democrats want to cut the dicks off their kids. Why? Because they want to demonize the Democrats to make everybody distrustful of actually having policies that will make working people have a decent fucking life. Okay? They want to suck all the money out of the middle Americans, and they're going to scare the hell out of them to get their vote. Okay? It's so stupid. You know what I'm saying? It's so fucking dumb. Right? It's so fucking dumb. What is up, guys? Thank you so much for watching. You like the video, you want to support independent resistance media, you know what to do. Drop that sub, hit the like button, and please share it. And we do love our members, so if you want to become a member, it's another really great way to support. Thanks again for everything, guys. I'll see you next time. Let's go.